What if the way you wake up each morning is quietly shaping the happiness you feel for the rest of your life? Most people begin their day already rushed, distracted, and tense, without realizing that the first moments after waking are when the mind is most open, most impressionable. Buddhism teaches that your morning is not just the start of a day, it is the foundation of your inner world. This is not a video about productivity or doing more. It is about creating peace before the world asks anything of you. These are 10 powerful morning habits rooted in Buddhist wisdom that can gently guide you toward a happier, calmer, and more meaningful life in 2026. Listen slowly. Let these habits meet you where you are and begin again, one morning at a time. Habit 1. Wake up without immediately reaching for your phone. The first habit is simple, yet deeply transformative. Do not rush to fill your mind the moment you wake up. Most suffering today begins before the day has even started. The alarm rings, and within seconds the mind is flooded. Notifications, news, plans, worries, comparisons. The body is awake, but the mind is already running. Buddhism teaches that the mind, when left unattended, naturally grasps. It reaches outward for stimulation, reassurance, and control. When you wake up and immediately reach for your phone, you are allowing the outside world to define your inner state. Instead, try this. When you wake up, pause. Do nothing for a moment. Feel your body resting. Notice the breath moving naturally. Sense the quiet before thought fully arrives. This space between sleep and activity is precious. It is one of the few moments when the mind is soft and unguarded. The Buddha emphasized awareness at the beginning of actions because beginnings shape outcomes. You do not need to meditate for an hour. You do not need to force calm. Simply allow yourself to arrive. Say silently, "I am here. I am awake." This moment is enough. If thoughts appear, let them come and go without chasing them. There is no need to plan your day yet. Planning can wait. The world will still be there. By starting your day without immediately consuming information, you teach your mind that it does not need constant stimulation to feel safe. Over time, this habit rewires your nervous system. You begin your mornings grounded instead of reactive. Happiness does not come from adding something new. It comes from removing what is unnecessary. And the first thing to remove each morning is mental noise. This habit alone can change the tone of your entire day. Habit 2. Greet the morning with conscious breathing. Breathing happens whether you pay attention to it or not. But awareness of the breath is what turns living into presence. In Buddhism, breath is not just air moving in and out of the body. It is an anchor, a bridge between the body and the mind, a reminder that you are alive in this moment. Nothing more is required. Each morning, before standing up, take a few conscious breaths. Inhale slowly through the nose. Feel the breath enter the body. Exhale gently, releasing tension you didn't know you were holding. Do this without counting, without controlling, just observing. The Buddha taught mindfulness of breathing as a complete path to peace because the breath is always available. It does not belong to the past or the future. It belongs to now. As you breathe, notice, is your body tense? Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders lifted? With each exhale, allow the body to soften. You may notice thoughts appearing about the day ahead, about responsibilities, about worries. Do not judge them. Simply return to the breath. This is not about stopping thought. It is about not being pulled by it. When you begin your day with conscious breathing, you send a quiet message to yourself. I am not in a hurry. I can meet life calmly. I do not need to panic to survive. This habit trains emotional regulation. It lowers stress hormones before they rise. It creates space between stimulus and reaction. Over time, you will notice something subtle but powerful. Your mornings feel slower, even when life is busy. Your responses feel softer. Your happiness feels less dependent on circumstances. Peace does not come from perfect days. It comes from a steady breath, and every morning offers you that gift. Habit 3. Set an intention, not a to-do list. Many people wake up and immediately think of everything they need to do. This creates pressure before the day has even begun. Buddhism offers a gentler approach. Begin with intention, not obligation. An intention is not a goal. It is not something you must achieve. It is a way of being. Each morning, ask yourself quietly, how do I want to move through today? What quality do I want to cultivate? It could be patience, kindness, presence, honesty, gentleness. Choose one, then carry it lightly. The Buddha taught that suffering often comes from attachment to outcomes. When we fixate on what must happen, we lose touch with how we are living. Intention shifts the focus from control to awareness. You may not control what happens today, but you can influence how you respond. For example, if your intention is patience, you notice impatience more quickly. If your intention is kindness, you soften your tone. If your intention is presence, you return to the moment when the mind wanders. This habit transforms ordinary days into practice. Even difficult moments become meaningful. Even challenges become teachers. You do not need to succeed perfectly. You simply return to your intention again and again. This is how happiness grows quietly, through alignment, not achievement. When your actions reflect your values, inner conflict decreases. And where there is less inner conflict, there is more peace. Each morning, one intention is enough. Let it guide you gently. Habit 4. Begin the day with gratitude for what is still here. Gratitude in Buddhism is not forced positivity. It is clear seeing. It is recognizing what is present without denying what is difficult. Each morning, take a moment to acknowledge what still remains in your life. Not grand things, not perfect conditions, simple truths. You woke up, you are breathing. You have another chance to meet the day. Say silently, I am grateful for this breath. I am grateful for this body as it is. I am grateful for this moment. Gratitude shifts the mind from lack to sufficiency. It does not say life is perfect. It says life is still worthy of care. As we move toward 2026, the world continues to change quickly. Uncertainty, comparison, and pressure are everywhere. Gratitude becomes an act of grounding. The Buddha taught that contentment is the highest form of wealth. When you recognize what you already have, the craving for more loosens its grip. This does not mean you stop growing. It means you stop suffering unnecessarily. Gratitude in the morning sets the emotional baseline for the day. Instead of beginning with, "What is missing?" you begin with, "What is here?" Over time, this habit rewires perception. You notice beauty more easily. You feel less rushed. You compare less. Happiness grows where appreciation lives, and appreciation begins with a single, quiet acknowledgement at the start of the day. Habit 5. Move your body gently with awareness. Movement in the morning is not about pushing your body. It is about listening to it. Buddhism teaches mindfulness not only in stillness, but in motion. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the mind's first home. When you move with awareness, you reconnect with yourself before the world pulls you outward. Many people wake up and remain physically disconnected for hours, sitting, scrolling, rushing, only noticing their body when it aches or feels tired. This disconnection creates subtle suffering. Instead, begin your morning with gentle, intentional movement. It could be stretching, a slow walk, simple yoga, even mindful cleaning or making tea. What matters is not what you do, but how you do it. As you move, bring attention to sensation. Notice muscles lengthening. Notice balance. Notice effort and ease. The Buddha emphasized the middle way, neither forcing nor neglecting the body. In the morning, this means honoring where your body is today, not where it used to be and not where you think it should be. Some mornings, your body feels light. Other mornings, it feels heavy. Both are allowed. Say silently, "This body carries me through life. I care for it with kindness." When movement is mindful, it becomes a form of meditation. Thoughts slow down. Breath synchronizes with motion. The nervous system settles. This habit is especially powerful for happiness because it releases stored tension before it accumulates. Emotions often live in the body long before they appear as thoughts. Gentle movement allows those emotions to soften and pass. Over time, you may notice less stiffness, more energy, a deeper sense of embodiment. You begin the day feeling inhabited rather than scattered. Happiness grows when the body feels safe, and safety begins with gentle attention. You do not need to do more. You simply need to move with care. Habit 6. Consume less, notice more. One of the quiet sources of unhappiness in modern life is unconscious consumption, especially in the morning. News, social media, messages, opinions, noise. Before your feet touch the ground, the mind is already overwhelmed. Buddhism teaches restraint not as deprivation, but as wisdom. When you reduce unnecessary input, you reclaim clarity. Each morning, practice consuming less and noticing more. Delay news. Limit social media. Notice what is already present. The sound of your environment, the feeling of water on your hands, the rhythm of your breath, the taste of your food. This habit protects your inner peace. The Buddha taught that sense impressions constantly pull the mind outward. When we are unaware, we chase stimulation and mistake it for fulfillment. But stimulation fades quickly, leaving restlessness behind. Noticing, on the other hand, nourishes contentment. When you drink tea, just drink tea. When you eat, just eat. When you hear a sound, just hear. These small acts of mindfulness rewire attention. You stop living in abstraction and return to direct experience. Over time, this habit reduces comparison, anxiety, and mental fatigue. You become less reactive to external triggers and more anchored in yourself. Happiness becomes quieter but deeper. You realize you do not need to know everything immediately. You do not need to respond to everything. You do not need to carry the world's weight before breakfast. This is not avoidance. It is discernment. Each morning, choose what you allow into your mind. Your peace depends on it. Habit 7. Practice loving kindness toward yourself. Many people begin the day with self-judgment. They criticize their body. They replay mistakes. They feel behind before they even start. Buddhism teaches that suffering increases when we turn against ourselves. The 7th morning habit is to practice loving kindness, especially toward yourself. This is not indulgence, it is healing. As you wake up, place a hand on your chest or abdomen. Feel warmth, feel contact. Then silently offer yourself a few simple phrases. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I live this day with ease. At first, this may feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable. That discomfort is not failure. It is a sign of how rarely we treat ourselves with gentleness. The Buddha taught that you deserve your own compassion as much as anyone else. Without it, even good habits become heavy. When you practice loving kindness in the morning, you soften inner resistance. You meet the day from a place of care rather than self-pressure. This habit is especially important as you move into 2026, a time when many people feel uncertain, tired, or overwhelmed by constant change. Self-kindness creates emotional resilience. It gives you room to make mistakes. It allows growth without shame. Over time, this practice changes your inner dialogue. The voice inside becomes supportive instead of critical. You recover from challenges more quickly. You feel less alone, even with yourself. Happiness does not come from becoming someone else. It comes from being at peace with who you are becoming. Begin each morning as a friend to yourself. Everything else flows more gently from there. Habit 8. Remember impermanence each morning and let it soften you. Each morning, before the day unfolds, there is a quiet truth waiting to be acknowledged. Nothing about today is guaranteed. In Buddhism, this truth is called impermanence, anicca. Everything changes, everything arises and passes away. While this idea can sound unsettling, the Buddha taught that remembering impermanence is not meant to frighten you, it is meant to free you. Most unhappiness comes from forgetting this truth. We wake up assuming we have time. We assume people will always be there. We assume our bodies will always function the same way. We assume tomorrow will come. And because we assume, we rush, we postpone kindness, we hold on to resentment, we delay living fully. Habit 8 invites you to begin each morning by gently remembering impermanence, not in a dark way, but in a clarifying one. As you wake up, take a moment and say silently, "This day is precious. This moment will not return." I am alive now. This is not morbid, it is grounding. When you remember impermanence in the morning, something shifts in how you move through the day. Small irritations lose their power. Arguments feel less important. Appreciation comes more naturally. The Buddha taught that suffering increases when we cling to what is constantly changing. We try to freeze life to make it secure. But life is movement, and peace comes not from stopping change, but from flowing with it. When you remember impermanence, you stop demanding permanence from temporary things. You stop expecting people to never disappoint you. You stop expecting yourself to never change. You stop expecting life to follow a fixed plan. Instead, you become softer, more forgiving. You may find yourself listening more deeply, speaking more kindly, letting go more easily. This habit is especially powerful in the morning because it sets the emotional tone for the entire day. Instead of moving through life on autopilot, you move with awareness. You realize, this breath matters. This ordinary morning matters. Impermanence turns routine into reverence. Even difficult moments are seen differently. When stress arises, you remind yourself, this too will pass. When sadness appears, you whisper, this feeling is changing. When joy comes, you savor it more fully, knowing it is fleeting. Happiness grows not from denying pain, but from understanding its nature. In 2026, when the world continues to shift rapidly, technology, relationships, expectations, this habit becomes an anchor. While everything outside changes, your relationship to change becomes steadier. You stop fighting reality. You stop arguing with time. You stop wasting energy wishing things were different. Instead, you meet life as it is, temporary, imperfect, and precious. Each morning, let impermanence remind you to live gently, to speak honestly, to love now, not later, not someday, now. Habit 9. Begin the day in silence and let your inner voice return. Before the world speaks to you each morning, there is something quiet waiting to be heard. It is not loud. It does not rush. It does not demand attention. It is your inner voice. In Buddhism, silence is not emptiness. Silence is presence. It is the space where awareness settles and wisdom becomes audible. Habit 9 invites you to begin each morning with silence, not as an escape from life, but as a way of entering it more fully. Most people wake up into immediate stimulation. Alarms, notifications, conversations, thoughts about the day ahead. The mind is pulled outward before it has a chance to orient itself. Over time, this constant noise creates inner confusion. You lose touch with what you actually feel, want, or need. Silence restores that connection. This habit does not require a long meditation session. Even 2 or 3 minutes of intentional silence can gently reset your nervous system. What matters is the quality of attention, not the length of time. When you wake up, sit or remain lying down. Do not speak. Do not scroll. Do not plan. Simply be. Notice the sounds around you without judging them. A distant car, the hum of a room, your own breath. Let sounds come and go without following them. Let thoughts arise and fade without engagement. The Buddha taught that clarity emerges when the mind is no longer constantly reacting. Silence creates the conditions for this clarity to appear naturally. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable. The mind may grow restless. Thoughts may seem louder than usual. This is not a problem. It is simply awareness revealing what is already there. You are not trying to stop thinking. You are learning to stop chasing thoughts. As you sit in silence, notice how the body feels. Notice where there is tension. Notice where there is ease. Without fixing anything, allow the body to soften. Silence teaches patience. It teaches you that you do not need to fill every space. You do not need to respond immediately. You do not need to know everything right now. This is deeply important for happiness. When you are comfortable with silence, you become less dependent on constant stimulation. You stop needing distraction to feel okay. You begin to trust yourself more. You listen inwardly before reacting outwardly. Over time, this habit changes how you experience your days. You speak more slowly. You choose words more carefully. You listen more deeply to others. You feel less overwhelmed by noise, opinions, and expectations. In Buddhism, silence is closely connected to wisdom. When the mind is quiet, insight arises naturally, not as a sudden revelation, but as a gentle knowing. You may begin to notice what truly matters today, what can wait, what is draining you, what nourishes you. These realizations often appear quietly, without effort. As you move toward 2026, a year many people approach with mixed emotions: hope, uncertainty, fatigue. Silence becomes a refuge, not a place to hide, but a place to return to yourself. The world will always be loud. Life will always ask things of you. There will always be more information than you can process. Silence reminds you that you do not have to carry everything. Each morning, by beginning in silence, you place yourself at the center of your life instead of at its edges. You act from awareness instead of impulse. You respond instead of react. This habit also teaches humility. In silence, you realize how little needs to be said. You see that presence often communicates more than words. You learn that peace is not something you achieve, it is something you allow. Silence is not withdrawal, it is preparation. It prepares you to meet the day with steadiness, to face challenges with composure, to engage with others without losing yourself. Even when the day becomes busy, a trace of that morning silence stays with you. It becomes an inner anchor, a quiet place you can return to with a single breath. Happiness does not always arrive through excitement or achievement. Sometimes it arrives softly, in stillness, in quiet, in the space where nothing needs to happen. Begin your mornings in silence and let your inner voice guide the rest of your day. Habit 10. Begin each day by remembering your intention to live kindly. The final morning habit is not something you do. It is something you remember. Before the day begins, before roles, responsibilities, and expectations return, you gently remind yourself of one essential truth. You are here to live kindly. In Buddhism, kindness is not weakness. It is wisdom in action. The Buddha taught that the quality of your mind shapes the quality of your life, and among all qualities, kindness is the one that softens suffering most deeply, both in yourself and in others. Each morning, take a quiet moment to remember this intention, not as a rule, not as pressure, but as a guiding light. You might say silently, "Today, I choose kindness. May my words be gentle. May my actions cause less harm. May my presence bring ease." This practice is not about perfection. You will still feel impatient at times. You will still make mistakes. But when kindness is your morning intention, you return to it more quickly. You pause before reacting. You soften your tone. You forgive sooner. Kindness begins inside. Many people try to be kind to others while being harsh toward themselves. Buddhism reminds us that this creates imbalance. True kindness includes yourself, your limits, your fears, your imperfections. As you wake up, acknowledge yourself with compassion. You are doing the best you can. You are learning. You are allowed to be human. This self-kindness becomes the foundation from which kindness naturally flows outward. When you meet the world with inner gentleness, you no longer need to defend yourself constantly. You stop viewing others as threats or obstacles. You begin to see them as fellow beings navigating their own difficulties. The Buddha taught that every person you encounter wants the same basic things: to feel safe, to feel understood, to feel at peace. Remembering this in the morning changes how you move through the day. When someone is difficult, you remember, this person is suffering in their own way. When conflict arises, you remember, harshness will only deepen pain. When you feel rushed, you remember, I can move slowly and still arrive. Kindness does not mean allowing harm. It means responding without cruelty. This habit is especially powerful as you move into 2026, a time when many people feel disconnected, overstimulated, and emotionally guarded. The world does not need more speed or sharpness. It needs softness grounded in strength. Your kindness may not be loud, it may not be noticed immediately, but it matters. A gentle word, a patient pause, a listening presence, a moment of understanding instead of judgment. These moments ripple outward in ways you may never see. Buddhism teaches that intention is karma in its earliest form. Before action, before speech, there is intention. By setting an intention of kindness each morning, you shape the karmic direction of your day. Even when the day is difficult, you know how you want to show up. Even when you fall short, you forgive yourself and begin again. Kindness gives your life coherence. It connects your inner world to your outer actions. Over time, this habit transforms happiness from something you chase into something you cultivate. You realize that peace does not come from controlling circumstances. It comes from meeting them with a steady heart. Kindness also becomes your legacy, not what you achieved, not what you accumulated, but how people felt around you. The Buddha taught that a mind rooted in compassion is a refuge for yourself and for others. When you begin your day with kindness, you carry that refuge with you wherever you go. You do not need to change the world. You only need to meet it gently. Each morning, remember why you are here. Remember the kind of presence you want to offer. Remember that your life, as it is, has value. Kindness is not something you add to life. It is how you live it. And when kindness guides your mornings, happiness follows quietly, naturally, and deeply. As this day begins, remember that happiness is not something waiting for you in the future. It is shaped quietly, morning by morning, through the way you breathe, move, listen, and care. These 10 Buddhist morning habits are not rules to follow, but gentle companions, guiding you back to presence, kindness, and inner peace. You do not need to change your life all at once. Simply begin again tomorrow with awareness. If this reflection brought you calm or clarity, consider subscribing to Mindfulness for more peaceful teachings, guided wisdom, and mindful living practices. Thank you for being here. May your mornings be gentle. May your heart be light. May you live each day with awareness and compassion.